Hello, this video is going to be about pandemic EBT. All the questions that you guys have and all the questions that I had, I will answer in this video. Please don't forget to subscribe. Let's go. Okay, so this is going to cover pandemic EBT. Let's backtrack really quick. Because schools are out for everyone, at least until May 1st. Some people are until May 15th. And I have heard that there are a few states that have permanently closed schools until next year. Because of this, children are not in school and they don't receive that breakfast or lunch that they would normally get. Because of the CARES Act signed on March 18th, those people who have children that would normally receive a breakfast and a lunch at school can now receive benefits for that child. Those families now have to go out and purchase food for that breakfast or lunch because those children are home, which they normally wouldn't have because, the child was in school, they had, they were fed, and that wasn't something that they had to worry about. Now it is because the child is home all day. This is not really just for the people that were doing the free and reduced lunch for those areas. This is for everyone. All the schools are out. But it was initially designed for the families that have children in schools that allow free or reduced lunch. And the reason I'm saying it because the CARES Act also has a clause in it, not a clause, but a different part in it to where it's now area eligibility is available. So basically, if your child is not in a school that had free or reduced lunch, or they're in a private school or something like that, they still qualify for this pandemic EBT. So they're adding the amount they would have usually spent for breakfast and lunch, that times 5 days, times how long the child was out of school. So it has to be a minimum of 5 days the child has been out of school. And of course, we know schools shut down in March of, I think the middle of March, which was last month. They are adding daily times the amount of days that they were out. So the average number is about $114 per child for the month. So let's just say you only had one child. That child has been out since March 16th. It is now the middle of April. The pandemic EBT would cover from March that they were out, those 2 weeks, plus it would cover up this entire month of April because technically most don't go back until May 1st. But let me backtrack really quick. I know a lot of people are saying you shouldn't get that, and there are going to be people that say things. There are lunches available at the schools now. Again, some of you may not have known that, but you can go up to a majority of the schools in your area and pick up a lunch and a breakfast for your child or children. This has been available since last month. It is also a part of the CARES Act. What you would need to do is, of course, go up to the school. They have a different time for breakfast and a different time for lunch. You would go up to the school. The child has to be with you in the vehicle. They give the child the lunch or the breakfast. And then, of course, because of social distancing, you don't get out of the car. You just drive off. You don't necessarily need a vehicle. You can walk up, but they do ask that you come in a vehicle just because of the social distancing thing. I apologize, I can't talk. I have seen Friday, if I'm not mistaken, I saw it to where a lot of these states are changing it to where you can go now one time a day as opposed to going at breakfast and at lunch. They're updating it to where you would go in the afternoon to pick up the hot lunch, and they would also give you a cold breakfast as well. That's going to minimize the amount of times that the families have to go out. It's also going to help, again, with the social distancing, and it's going to help families that have, more than, 2 kids that just don't want to bring their child out into the world for whatever amount of time that is, which makes a lot of sense. They should have done it in the beginning, but I'm glad they're doing that now. So you would be getting the hot lunch, you would be getting the cold breakfast for the next morning, and then the next day we would be doing it again. I also will say that this is not available during the days that school is normally out. So go back to what I was previously saying. The pandemic EBT will cover the amount that majority, not the entire amount, but some of the amount that the family would pay for food because the child is no longer in school. The average is the $114 per month. That would be put on a pandemic EBT card. Okay. Here's the breakdown. I'm going to speak to you as if I was speaking to someone just in a normal day-to-day. Example, you are a mother. You have 3 children. The government is going to give you $114 per child for the month that they were out. And I'm just going to use April, for example, because I know that we're all out for the entire month of April. That's a total of $342 on an EBT card for that family. This does not include the mother, or if let's say a mother and a father, it does not include them. This is only for the children in the household. This amount is not per week. It is monthly only while the schools are closed. Once school is officially out for the summer, this pandemic EBT will not apply. Again, this will be put on an EBT card. At one point, they were suggesting putting it on a gift card and giving that to people, but of course that was rejected, and I wouldn't even agree to that either. But it's going to be put on an EBT card. For the families that currently receive SNAP benefits on an EBT card, or any type of benefits, whether it be cash or anything, on an EBT card, they will utilize that card that the family currently has and automatically apply those benefits to that card. This will not be done until your state actually applies for the waiver. This is not automatic. Your state has to apply for this national waiver. Once your state applies and they are approved, which seems to be going really, really fast, it will be automatically on your EBT card once the schools get together, get the information, which doesn't seem to be taking too long, and then they apply it to your household. For the families that are not already on any type of government assistance, whether it is the cash assistance, food stamp assistance, or anything like that, and the school cannot find that in their systems anywhere because they're going to kind of cross-reference their data banks. If they cannot find that and match it up, then what the government has required them to do is to come up with a plan. A lot of the states are working on those plans as we speak, and from once they get that plan together, that's when they send in their request for a waiver, and then they are approved. In a lot of the plans that I have seen, which I may post a few of them on here as I'm doing the video, I may post like screenshots of them. But in a lot of them, part of the plan to identify people that will qualify, they're going to need the student ID number. They're going to need the first and last name of the student, the date of birth, the parent or guardian's first and last name, and the address that the school district has on file. In their plan that they submit to the government, they are going to have specific ways that they will let those families who are currently not receiving benefits, they will have a way to contact you, whether it be through email, through the school website. A lot of them, from what I've seen, are going to do commercials about it, so a lot of people can be notified. There are several ways that they're going to notify you. You don't have to contact them. You will be notified once they get the plan into action and they know how they're going to do it and how they're going to cross match and things like that. They will put this information out there. I will also do a video on the states when they come into the pandemic EBT waiver, when they get approved for it, and that way I can do a little update. I'm not going to do one for each separate state because that makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense, but I'll do it like if it's like 10 at a time or something like that, I may do it like that. And also check my Twitter and my Instagram. I'll post little things about it, probably for each state, which will be a little bit simpler. One thing that you can do is you can make sure your information is updated. For instance, if you have moved since the child has been in school, since they enrolled to the school this school year, that could be something you can update. Things like that would make it a little bit simpler. You can also update, what is the other thing? I can't remember what the other thing they may need, but they usually have, like, when your child goes into school and they have that blue card, I'm not sure if it's the emergency card or whatever, you can update that if that information is not already on there. That could be something that would make the process simpler. And I also have talked to a few of the people that are involved in this, and they did say that they would be able to do an online form so that you can update it, and that way it would be a lot simpler. Because what they're going to do for the people that do not have any type of benefits, they're going to have to mail you an EBT card. Because we are still, quote unquote, locked down, social distancing and everything, they're not going to let you come to the school. It makes no sense. So they're going to mail you a card. From what I've been hearing, the consensus is it takes about 3 weeks to get all the necessary EBT cards available. Then they would go through the process of actually sending them out. So even if your state got approved this week coming, it's going to take a few weeks from that point to actually get the card in the mail, to get the card and then get the card in the mail. The pandemic EBT is for children ages 5 to 19 is what I saw. But I did see that a few states that have already put in their waivers, a few states are making the range from 4 to age 20. So if you have a child, let's say a senior that is 19 or 20, they would still qualify. If you have a child that is in like one of those VPK programs that is age 4 or maybe age 3, they would include them as well. So let me break this down as I would talk to you as an aunt. So you have your 2 children. You are already receiving SNAP benefits for your family. So you are a family of 3. You, because of COVID-19 and them boosting everyone to the maximum benefits for the next 2 months, you are receiving the maximum benefits, which for a family of 3 is $509. Because of the pandemic EBT, that is going to be additional to the regular EBT. This is, again, additional. You don't have to report it or anything like that. It's just going to be automatic. So what you would get would be the emergency maximum SNAP benefits, which for a family of 3 totals $509. You would also get the pandemic EBT, which is $228. Again, this does not include adults. This is only for the children. So the $509 plus the additional pandemic EBT of $228 for the 2 children would come to $737 in SNAP benefits for the month of April. Let me give you another example. You are a family of, let's say, a family of 5. Father, mother, 3 kids. Because of the CARES Act boosting to the maximum benefits, as opposed to getting $400 a month in SNAP benefits, you are now getting $768, which is a beautiful thing. However, because they are now doing the pandemic EBT, which is an extra perk, you are now getting for each child $114. And again, this is a minimum that they're giving, because I have seen some places that are doing a little bit more, but I'll touch on that later. You're getting $114 per child. That is $342. So your $768 maximum plus $342 for a pandemic EBT, you will now receive $1,010 on your SNAP EBT card for the month of April. I hope that was kind of clear and I kind of covered all bases with those examples. Of course, there's always, you may have more kids, or it may not be a 2-parent household. It may be a 1-parent with 5 kids. It may be, something like that. So, of course, those figures are going to be different. However, I'm just making sure that you understand the pandemic EBT is only for the children that were enrolled in school when the schools close. It is not for the parents. So it does not include that figure when it counts up how much you would receive. For the families that have never had an EBT card, like I was saying before, you would not receive anything for the parent. The amount that you would receive would only be for the child or children in the household. So if you only have one child in the household for the month of April, you would only get that $114. If you have 3 children in the household, no matter how many adults, you would get $342. That's the $114 times 3. If you had 6 children in the household, you would get $114 times 6, which is $684. Again, that's just for the amount of children that were in school. It does not include newborns. It does not include, 2-year-olds that were not in school. It's for the amount of children that were enrolled in school at the time COVID-19 closed the schools down. I have seen, like I was saying, some states are adding not just the breakfast and lunch amount to the pandemic EBT, but they are also adding the cost for snack and the cost for milk. So their amount may be slightly different as opposed to the $114. I have seen 2 states so far. One is doing $126 a month and one is doing $133. So, it kind of differs. It all depends on how they want to calculate what they are giving the children. I think I covered everything as far as pandemic EBT, and if I haven't, I'll go ahead and backtrack. I apologize. I did all that and forgot to name the states. So, the states that have applied for the pandemic EBT are Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, North Carolina, Alabama, Illinois, Virginia, Connecticut, Missouri, New York, Oregon, Maine, Texas, West Virginia, New Jersey, Ohio, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Wisconsin, California, New Mexico, and Maryland. And the states that have been approved for the pandemic EBT benefits. Again, these benefits are only for the child in the home, or rather the children that are in the household, whether it's your child or you're taking care of your niece or nephew, if you have a foster child or whatever it is, as long as the child is in your home or was in your home when school was going for the 2019-2020 school year and it is now closed, they will get the pandemic EBT. So the states that are approved are Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Alabama, Illinois, Virginia, Connecticut, Wisconsin, California, New Mexico, and Maryland. New Mexico and Maryland were the last ones to be added today, which is, what is today? Well, now it's 4/29, but on 4/28, which was Tuesday. So, again, that is 22 states that have applied and 14 that have been approved. I was trying to wait until more states were approved before I actually put the video out because I wanted a little bit more information in the video, as well as your questions, and I can answer them. And of course, there's just a lot of stuff going on, so I wanted to be as detailed as possible. It seems that these steps are going really, really fast for them to be approved. So I would go ahead and venture and say that by the end of the week, at least 2 more will be approved. There were actually 4, if I'm not mistaken, they were approved this week. And today, well, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning now, but Monday and Tuesday, 3 states were approved. So it's going really, really fast. Once they do get approved, I'm not going to update a video unless it's like a whole bunch, like 10 or something. But once they do get approved, I will post it on Facebook and Instagram. So you guys check on there, and then if it's a lot, then of course I'll do a video on that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining me.